Hello and welcome to a new video from Clarity Media in which we're going to look at how to solve a code word puzzle. And as ever, if you like this video, then please do consider subscribing to our channel and let us know in the comments any feedback or thoughts you have on other puzzles that you'd like to see us solve. And you can have a go at this puzzle if you'd like to before watching this video. We will include the web address in the YouTube description. So if you're unfamiliar with a code word puzzle, then the rules are quite simple. You start with a crossword style grid, like this, and there's usually some letters given. And the aim of the game is to work out which number, from 1 to 26 in the grid, corresponds to each letter of the alphabet from A to Z. And each number codes for one letter, and it's consistent. So here you can see that 22 is I, and so every time 22 is in the grid, that corresponds to the letter I. And with this puzzle, you enter the letters in these green boxes down the bottom, and it will automatically update the grid for you. Of course, in a newspaper, you need to go through and check yourself. So if you think 18 is E, then you'd go through every 18 in the grid if solving on paper. But here, if we think 18 is E, you simply write it in there. Now, in terms of how to solve the code word, it will vary from puzzle to puzzle, but usually the letters that you're given at the start will hint at a potential answer. So once you enter the given letters, have a quick look through the grid and see if there's any place where you can get started, whereby there's only one word that you can think of that fits. So looking at this grid, I is drawn straight away to this run of 6 squares here, where you have IS, something M, something something, and the only word I can think of that fits there is isomer, which is a fairly unusual word, but I can't think of anything else that fits. So let's try that and see how we get on. So 7 would be O, 18 would be E, and 14 would be R. Now, it's worth saying that generally the number that appears the most times in the grid will be one of the most common letters, like E, R, or A. It's very rare for something like 18. You can see how many E's have appeared in the grid. Very, very rare for that to be one of the less common letters, like an F or a B. Perhaps not impossible, but very unlikely. So one way that some people use to get started, if there isn't an easy into the grid, is to go through and see which number occurs the most times and see if it works as an E, an A, or an R. Typically people will try an E first because it's the most common letter. Okay, so now what we will do is continue the process. We'll use the letters we've been given here to look elsewhere in the grid and see if there's any other words that we can place straight away. And your eye may be drawn to different places. I'm looking at this word here, S something IM something something I, and the only thing I can think of that fits is stimuli. Now we haven't used the T, the U, or the L yet, so we enter those in, and the software will automatically cross off the letters that we've used to help us keep track. And that's important, particularly further down the solving path. There may be places where we have one letter missing, and there are multiple possible words that fit. But if we've placed each option using letters apart from one, then we can narrow down the options. So for instance, if we were to say that this was, I don't know, coined or joined, then if we have the C and the J still available, we wouldn't be able to disambiguate it. But if we'd already placed the J, let's say, and we had question mark OINED, then we'd know that we could place coined if we'd use the J, and vice versa. Whereas if both letters are still available, then of course we've no way of knowing which is correct. Now my eye is drawn here, we've just got one letter left here, so 4 must be H. Looking at this entry here, we have one letter left, 16, so that must be the C. So in fact, if this does end up being joined or coined, then we now know which one it is. Looking at this run here, we have 12 and 20 left. Looks like it must be Yuletide for Christmas. Ten looks like it must be the G to give us Gothic. Now looking at this O something E, then I can only think of ozone. So we place that in, and it does look like we've actually got joined here. So let's have A, B, F, J, K, P, Q, V, and W. Yeah, so the only one that would make sense there is the J. Now here we have one letter for these two runs, and it looks like the Q. And generally, once you place the U, then it's a good idea looking to see where the Q can go. So that is our Q. Now this one is interesting because we have the same number twice. E something OL something E, but it's the same letter, therefore, in both positions. So if you can't see it straight away, have a look through the letters that we haven't used yet and see which letter can go in both places. And the answer is V, to give us evolve. Often with trickier code words, you might need to look at the actual pattern of the numbers inside a word like this to try and narrow down the options. It can be very useful. Now, usually we're going to place the A quite late in this puzzle. It's the third most common letter in the alphabet, but there aren't actually many in this puzzle. Look, so this must be maiden. So there's only 4 or 5 in the whole puzzle. Now we have TAN question mark UL, and we have 2 crosses. So another fairly unusual word perhaps, but tankful seems to be the only word that fits here. So let's put that in. 26 looks like it must be a B of what's left. And we're at the stage where we've almost finished the puzzle. Of the options left, this looks like it must be ramps and sep, which is a type of mushroom. Yes, the other options don't make any sense. So 25 must be a P. We're left with W and X. So that can't be Bowie, not a word. So it must be boxy. And that gives us just W left here. So it can't be skilled because we placed the K here. So that must be W swirled. And that's check. Yes, that's correct. Okay, so that's how to solve a code word puzzle. Hope you found it useful. If you like solving code word puzzles, then please do let us know. If there's any other videos you'd like to see, if you'd like us to try a trickier puzzle, or if there's any more hints and tips that you think you'd find useful, then please do let us know. And thanks very much for watching.